Okay, hello. We are talking to Tom Kane.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, and he's going to tell us all about his career as a voice artist.
Well, all about is a big subject.
That's true. We'll just give you the Reader's Digest version.
Well, I started doing voiceover work when I was a teenager in Kansas City, and ended up, after I got out of college, I moved to Chicago and then Los Angeles. And at first, of course, I was doing just, mostly commercials and promos for the networks. And, but that led to eventually cartoons. And I actually tried for several years and failed miserably at getting anything. And I almost gave up doing animation work because I was making a very good living doing all the other kinds of voiceover work. And then I booked the Wild Thornberrys, and then the Powerpuff Girls, and then one thing after another, and it's been nonstop ever since.
Interesting. Yes.
Those are very nice.
Those are lovely.
Did someone give those to you? Oh, very nice.
But yeah, one of the things I think that's kind of interesting is this was co-created by the Wild Thornberrys here was co-created by Steve Papoon, if that's correct.
By who?
Steve Papoon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's from Paola.
Oh, I didn't know that. I only knew the Pulaski Chupo.
Yeah,
folks there. So you told me something I didn't know.
Yeah, he still lives in Miami County, believe it or not.
Yeah, very cool.
He also won an Emmy for writing an episode of The Simpsons.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, I was tickled to death when I found out one of your most recent gigs is with the Mad TV show on the Cartoon Network. What was it like to work on those? Because it doesn't look...
Well, it's the good news, bad news thing about my career is that I'm extremely busy. I do anywhere from 5 to 7 recording sessions a day.
Oh, wow.
So, and all of it's from my own home studio. So the bad news part of that is that I don't actually get to interact with people personally. I'm sitting in a recording booth in my house and I'm all by myself and just talking to them. So it's a lot more fun when you can actually be there in person and interact with the cast and the directors and the producers. The downside is that I don't get to meet people. The upside is that I can do 5 to 7 sessions a day, which is flatly impossible if you have to actually drive somewhere. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of the benefits though is that because I record stuff and I don't really get to see what I'm doing in terms of they don't have sketches or anything for me. When it does finally appear on television, I've usually forgotten about it. So I get to watch it just like you do. I can actually just sort of go, oh, I remember.
So you're not going, oh, I should have been a little louder on that.
Well, sometimes, yeah. You always self-critique. Anytime I hear anything, you tend to do that just like anybody does. If a carpenter looks at something you built 10 years ago, he'll find something you should have done differently.
Well, also, the sheer diversity of what you've done is pretty fun, because I saw that you've been Magneto.
Yes, Magneto and Iron Man.
So did you ever wonder, like, what if Tony Stark and Eric Lesher got into a fight?
Well, I suppose that would be something we'd like to see sometime. You always wonder when technology is up against, superpowers, who's going to win. That'd be interesting.
Because what did you do for Magneto? How does he sound when you do?
Well, I just obviously I was just trying to do Sir Ian McKellen.
Yes.
Trying to cultivate back his best time. And anytime you're doing an existing character, you're not really trying to put your own spin on it. You're trying to keep it as true to what people expect to hear as possible.
Yeah, because, like, for example, a lot of times you've been recruited when Morgan Freeman's not available.
Oh, well, yeah, the stuff I do in Morgan's voices, like, I do all the Visa commercials, I dummy them first, and they use them for testing and editing and focus grouping, and I get asked 3 times a week to do projects as Morgan Freeman, and I say no. The only time I will actually do it is if it's one of his projects. Like recently, I did a movie trailer for a movie that is coming out soon that he's in. So that I said yes to. I'll do that. And what they usually do is they just use it as a placeholder or something and try to get him to come in and record it. But a lot of times he just is not available, so they'll just use mine.
Oh, okay. Interesting, because I had seen in the Kansas City Star a demonstration of you subbing for him on the Wanted trailer.
Yeah.
Because he had already recorded the lines, but they needed him for some...
Yeah, no, well, that happens a lot in trailers. Well, they want a version of the line that's shorter, or slightly worded a little differently or something. And a celebrity like the size of Morgan Freeman is not going to come in to pick up one line for a movie trailer. So they'll hire me to replicate.
Oh, that's great. Well, another thing I wondered about is, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Beavis here. Well, as a fan of Beavis, I've always wondered, whenever I do the voice, I'm always struck by how I feel like I've taken sandpaper to it after I've done it. How does it feel to do Yoda? Because
well, fortunately, Yoda does not ever say a lot. So he's a creature of few words. So it's not usually in like an episode of a film or an episode of a TV show or whatever. It's not really a problem because he doesn't say that much.
Yeah.
But there have been a few times we've been recording a game, let's say, and there's a huge amount of Yoda dialogue, and it does after a while. I start to just go, I can't do it anymore. It just doesn't start. It starts to not sound like it. As I get more hoarse.
Yeah. And also, one of the things I thought must be a challenge of being a voice actor is, say you're doing Professor Utonium here. You always have to be consistent, because if you're not careful, you can, you immediately lose the audience.
Well, voices do tend to drift. I mean, if you listen to the first season of The Simpsons, they don't sound remotely like they do now. If you listen to the very first season of Clone Wars, my opening narrators is slightly different than what we've said along. And that's normal. I mean, very rarely is your very first attempt at something perfect. So you do sort of change things as time goes by, and that's true in my business as well.
Okay. Well, anyway, I guess it must. I mean, even though you don't get to interact as much, it must be great to at least be able to not have to leave your house and still.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a benefit in terms of being able to be efficient. But at the same time, it does get a little frustrating that you don't get to interact with human beings as much as I used to. And so sometimes at the end of the day, I'll run to the Price Chopper and buy a gallon of milk just to see other people.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you for your time.